if it's possible. Thanks, Philip. Thanks, Christine. More seconds. Okay, that's fine. Okay, cool. Thanks, John. So just a first question is, who here has a business that sells to businesses? Just raise your hand. Okay, so we've got 3. And then who sells to consumers or e-commerce? Just raise your hands. Okay. All right, so more business to business. And then second question is, have you ever run a Google Ads or AdWords campaign? Just raise your hands. Okay, cool. So this session, what I'll do is, this isn't a session to explain to you what Google Ads or Google AdWords is. This session is going to be about how to get more leads and sales from your website. At the end, so initially it's going to start off quite strategic. So we're going to talk about how easy it is for people to buy from your website and unpack that a little bit more. Then we're going to talk about media, and that'll include Google Ads. And then right at the end, there's 4 very technical steps. So the stuff will hopefully be valuable for people with little understanding, and there's super advanced stuff at the end. So I'm trying to just give value to everybody. Okay, so let me start. And please interrupt me and ask me any question that you have. Like, I love interactive sessions. Okay, let me just share my presentation. Okay, let's get rid of this. Okay, so objective of this session is just to help you get more leads from your digital marketing. So as this was just the background, Tracy has already shared this. I've been in this space for 15 years. So what we're going to talk about today is how to just make it easy to buy from you. And I know this sounds simple, but most people get this wrong. Then we're going to talk about digital media and the role of each platform, and talk a little bit about measurement. And then I've got 4 very advanced tips right at the end. So first thing is make it easy to buy from you. So the first thing I want to just share with you is, and I'll share a link to this at the end. So Tracy will send this over. Is I like using an inverted funnel. So how this works is, people usually, so most funnels are the other way around, where you throw people at the top and then they filter down and then they pop out at the bottom. I don't like this because it insinuates that gravity works towards you. And the reality is, it's an enormous amount of effort to get somebody to buy. So at the top here, we've got a sale. So like it's like a macro yes. So it's like, yes, I'm willing to buy your product. And what happens is, there's these little actions that people take for them to turn into a sale. So people don't just buy outright. They first probably visit your website, then they do a little bit of research, then they book a demo, then they look at pricing, then they phone you, and then they turn into a client. Okay, so I want to unpack this model. So let's make this practical. So for business to business, so for people that sell to businesses, it's called B2B marketing. What this could look like is, people first would go to your website, then they would watch a video, or they would consume a resource. So this could be an article, this could be a free chapter in a book, something like that. And then what happens is, they would, if they are interested, they would then join a webinar, or maybe do a demo, or maybe look at a pricing page, and only then will they do a consultation with you, have a phone call with you, and then turn it into a sale. Okay, so there's these little yeses, that little commitments that people have to take before they turn into a sale. We build a website, and then we go, why am I not getting sales from this? But what the website isn't doing is it's not helping people along this process to become and to build trust. Okay. So let me give you an example for people selling to consumers or e-commerce. So same principle applies. The process is just slightly different. So they browse the website, then they start researching a product specifics. They start reading what it does, the features, the benefits. Then they may sign up for a newsletter. Then they add it to their cart, and only then do they do a sale. These are, again, the steps that people follow. People can jump steps, so they could go from browse to newsletter sign up, back to product specifics, back to add to cart. But the principle of people taking small steps before they complete a sale still holds. Okay. So what I just want to unpack is, how do we get people from a small yes, like a micro yes, to take the next step? And there's a nice heuristic that was developed by a company in the US called MEC Labs. So what they talk about is to get people to take the next step. So this is like the micro yes. There's a heuristic. Now, heuristic is just a fancy name for it. It's a way to just describe how people make decisions and how they move along in terms of before they buy something. So it's like a simplified formula. It doesn't always hold true, but it does help to explain the concept. So the first thing is people need the motivation to buy something. Okay, so this is motivation. For example, load shedding has happened. So the motivation for buying a solar system or backup system is quite high at the moment. So motivation is one big factor. And the 4 just adds a weighting to it. So motivation is quite high for that. If you're selling something that people are not motivated to buy, you can't invent motivation. That's quite hard. So this is motivation. The next one is your value proposition, but very importantly, it's the clarity of your value proposition. So how easy and how well are you explaining the value that you add? And I'm going to go into examples of each one of these things. So these are the positive things. So this is the motivation, and then this is, what am I going to get out of this? Because people are very self-centered online. Within a click, the person is gone. The next thing that detracts from this is friction. So friction is, it's just difficult to do. Like the next step that you want people to take is complicated and it's difficult. And then the last one is anxiety. So anxiety is, I'm going to complete the contact us form on your website. And what are you going to do with my details? Or who is going to phone me? Are you going to start spamming me with your newsletters? So let's unpack each one of these. So the first one I want to talk about is motivation. I think everybody gets that. This is what people are. They're motivated to. They have a need. They're motivated to buy it. So I'm not going to unpack that. And you don't really have control over this. But what you do have control over is these 3 things. So I'm going to talk about them. So the first one is the value proposition. And let me give you an example. So everybody on this call has got a business, and they would have registered the business as a legal entity. So PTY Ltd, a limited company. And the organization that manages this is SIPS. So clarity of the value proposition. If I do go to SIPS, I see this. And it is the most complicated. I have no idea what I need to do here. I have no idea. How do I register a legal entity? What's the benefits of a legal entity? They can't even get their own logo to render correctly. It's just, I look at this and I don't know what to do next. So this is a bad example of the clarity of a value proposition of what they actually do. I'm going to show you a good example. So there's a company called GovChain where they help people to register companies. And this is the clarity of the value proposition is clear here. Is you can register your company now and it'll take a few minutes and there's no monthly fees. This is what I'm talking about, a clarity of value proposition. So it's going from this to that. And the only reason GovChain exists is because SIPS can't get this right. Okay, that's the first example. The second example is friction. So friction is something that is complicated to do. Here's another example, UIF. I don't know if anybody here is engaged with UIF or even claiming money back for the TERS program. It is notoriously difficult to get anything done. You can do it, but I'm not willing to spend 2 days to do this. So this is friction. So friction is just the effort to do something. Here's another example, is on a website, if there are lines and lines and lines and things that you have to fill in, the people look at this and they go, this is just too complicated. As another practical example, on your contact us form, if you are asking for the postal address, the street address, the ID number, the cell phone number, the fax number, people, that's friction. Like, people don't want to give all that information because it's effort. So here's an example of having very little friction. So if you go on EPO's site, when you enter your ID number, it then goes and gets all the information from the credit bureaus, and it pre-populates all your information, your name, where you live, where you work, the cars that you drive. So this is an example of low friction because you only need to enter your ID number. Okay. And then the last one, and I'll pause after this one in terms of to just take some questions, is anxiety. Now, anxiety is where I have to share something that is personal to me, which I feel sensitive about. So a practical example about this is a form that I found on the internet. So in this form, I'm asking somebody to subscribe to a video, which is in theory a very low commitment to take, is first name, last name, email address. And I'd be like, okay, I can maybe give you my email address to start watching videos. But here they ask for the mobile number. And I'm like, why do I have to give my mobile number to view your videos? And what are you going to do with it? Are you going to start sending spam SMSs? That is anxiety. Here's another example of how it's well managed. So this is our assurances form. They actually ask your ID number here, which in theory you shouldn't ask. But they have this little box there that says, we need why we need it, and we will keep it safe and won't share it with anybody. So that's where the anxiety is managed by the company. Okay. So to go back to this formula, is each one of these steps, there's an equation in a visitor's head that's going on. Am I going to sign up to your newsletter? And then they run through that formula or that heuristic in terms of what am I going to get if I sign up for your newsletter? If you ask me for my postal address to sign up to your newsletter, it's too much friction and I feel anxious about it. So I'm not going to give it to you. So each one of these commitments that people take, these like a micro yes, has got that equation to it. So people then either take it or they just leave, because it's very easy to leave your website. Okay, so I'm going to pause now and unshare and just give everybody an opportunity to, if you have a question, like now is a good time to ask.
Are there any questions? I don't see anything in the chat box.
Yeah, I don't see anything either. No questions? Cool. Then we continue. Okay. Tracy, did this make sense?
Ferdie, I read
Yes,
a book
Ellis.
years ago that was amazing, talking about websites, and the title of the book was Don't Make Me Think. And I think that's what
Yes.
you're talking about. It's
That
written
is.
by Steve Krug, and it's a very good piece of literature to read. Don't Make Me Think.
I read it, and you are absolutely right. And so this book came out probably like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And
Yeah, I read it a long time ago.
It still applies. It's the thing is that people do not want to spend glucose, so energy, brain energy, to make a decision. They are bombarded with decisions every day. So now they go into your website and they have to have this calculation in their heads for them to decide if they want to buy something. And they don't. They don't want to take that big leap. They want to take small, little incrementational steps before they buy. You are absolutely right. That book is amazing. Like we'll actually, Tracy will send you the link to that book after this session. It's brilliant. Don't make me think. People don't want to think. This is one of those things where when you stand in a Woolies line and you have all your stuff there, it's like that snack. It's the snack where all the snacks like are promoted to you. Because you're hungry and you don't want to think. You just grab the snack, you put it in your trolley, and this is the same approach with websites. All of us create websites that's just too complicated. It's all about us. I want your details. I want your phone number. I want this. I want that. And that's not the right approach. Does this make sense? Okay. So you can run a Google Ads campaign. If you don't get this section right that I spoke about earlier, those Google Ads is not going to work. That's just how it works. Okay. Tracy, can I continue? Is there anything else? Oh, here we go. Here's a question. So you mean not to ask for an email address when they open the website? So, so this could be if you have a contact us form, email, people are more willing to give an email than a telephone number, for example. So if you don't need the telephone number, don't ask for it. If, for example, you have a website and there's a little pop-up that pops up that says, join our newsletter at the bottom. A lot of websites do this. If you're not giving them a compelling, you're annoying them. Okay, especially on a mobile phone, the screen is like this big, and now you take up half the space with this email pop-up. So you have to have a very good excuse to interrupt somebody because they're just going to close the browser. So if you do that, you have to give them a very good reason to give them 2 minutes of your time. So it has to be a very compelling offer. It's like 100 Rand off your first order, or something about them. Not sign up to get our monthly newsletter. People don't care. They don't want to, like, they receive 50 newsletters a day. They don't want to hear about you. They want to hear about themselves. Okay. Okay.
Nothing
cool.
else, Ferdie?
Cool. Let's continue. Present. Okay. So now your website is easy to use. So I think I've made that point. So let's talk about digital media and each platform. When I mean platform, a platform is Google Ads, or it's Facebook, or it's Instagram, or it's email, has a role to play. So this is, again, this is the model which we shared. So B2B model is you want to take people through this process. So resources, video, then webinar, then a demo, then a consultation. So where the media, so the screen is going to get very busy now, and I'll unpack each thing here. Is for B2B, there's a number of things that you can do, and I'll run through them. So for example, when you do a B2B marketing, you can go and advertise in LinkedIn. Okay, so you can go and target people's based on the job titles they have. You can target B2B people in Facebook using customer import. So, but these two ways that you target people is you are just informing them of what you do. And what you want when you advertise here is you just want them to click and to browse your site. They are not going to click on this ad and buy. It's just not going to happen. That's not where the sale happens. What subsequently happens is they click and they go to your website. And then what will happen is most people may have heard about remarketing. This is when you click on an ad and the ad follows you around. So now they click on your ad, and there's a banner that shows to them when they browse other websites. But the idea for
sorry, Ferdie,
yeah,
sorry to
go.
interrupt. You're not sharing at the moment.
Oh,
I don't know if you meant to be.
No, I'm definitely meant to. Thank you,
Glad I
Laura.
picked that up.
That's
Sure.
really embarrassing. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let's go back to the start. Apologies about that. Okay, digital media. Okay, each platform has a role to play. Okay, so again, we're going to use the same model. So for business to business people, selling to businesses, again, the steps, people browse, then they consume a resource, they watch a video, then they may move on to webinar or demo or pricing, consultation, sale. Okay, we spoke about this earlier. Now, I'm adding the media to this conversation. So, for example, just move this down. You can use LinkedIn. So you can go and target people. If you're selling KYC, know your customer product, or you're selling COVID access points, or whatever you're selling, you can go and target people on LinkedIn. But this campaign, the objective of this campaign is to get people to browse and to understand what you are selling. They're not going to click on this banner and then turn into a sale. They still have to go through these processes. But what usually happens is you launch a LinkedIn campaign and you expect it to result into sales or leads. But I think that's a step too far. The objective of this campaign would be just to understand what you do and what you sell. Okay. So let me give you another example. When people search, let's say you sell widgets to businesses. If somebody types in a red widget, then and you show an ad to them, they click. At that point, they would maybe read up more about your red widgets, or maybe join a webinar on your red widgets. And the reason why they search for red widgets is because they were looking for a red widget. When they click on a LinkedIn ad, because they didn't search. When you search something, you qualify yourself. You go, yes, I'm interested in this. When you show an ad to them in LinkedIn or Facebook, they are not searching for what you are selling. So what you want to do there is you want to just get them to browse the website. Okay. So email, for example, when you send out emails, so MailChimp is a very popular mailing system. Email is very popular to drive people to attend a webinar or to get them to do a consultation and to turn it into a sale. So each one of these platforms has got its own role to play. So it's important to just understand the objective of each one of these channels and what it's supposed to achieve. This campaign is not going to result in sales. It's supposed to result in people clicking on it and to browse the website. Let me give you a few examples. So this was so did a campaign for a client where we ran a LinkedIn campaign, and what we did was we showed them a video to explain what the product was about. So the objective of this was just to explain to people what we do. It's not necessarily going to turn into a sale. So the objective of this campaign is just for people to click and to understand what we are doing. Okay, I'll give you another one. Once somebody has clicked on that video or they visited your website, you can use Google Ads remarketing. Again, remarketing is the banners that follow you around on the website. And this is an example of that. So I was looking at, so this is News24. This is my browser. This is my experience that I had earlier. So I was on AdWorld's website. So this is a conference. So what they did was they knew I was on the website. So the next step for me was I was here and I was reading up on this on their resources, and I was even looking at the pricing as well. So the next step for me is to sale. So the message that I'm getting is buy the ticket. This is the next step that you have to take. Okay, I'll give a B2C example. So B2C, it's the steps are browse, products is to research the product, maybe sign up for newsletter, add to cart, and sale. In this instance, you have slightly different channels. So Facebook is very powerful. You can show banner ads. And in this instance, if you do banner ads, the idea is, again, just for people to know about your product and for them to browse. This is not going to lead into sales. What will lead into sales is once they've clicked, they've read up on it, they may have signed up to your newsletter, they've added to cart, but now what happens is later they go and they will actually search the brand of your company. And at that stage, they will turn into a sale. Okay, let me give you an example. So we did a campaign we worked with a client where we just wanted the click. We wanted people to browse the website. So we did an ad. So we developed this ad. We worked with their creative agency. They came up with this ad. The idea of this ad, this is Strauss & Co., the auctioneers. The idea of this ad is just to get the click. That is the job of this click, of this ad. Okay. I'll give you another example for remarketing. I was on the Adidas website. So I went to Times Live and Adidas showed me an ad to remind me that I was on Adidas and I need to shop now. And they're showing me these famous people to get me back. Okay. I'll give you another example of a remarketing campaign. So I was on these people's website. This is not a nice banner, but it's still effective. I added something into my cart, but then I left. So they know this now. So now they're showing me an ad to give me 10% off for me to view and complete the cart. Okay. So I'll give you another example, MailChimp. So your email database is of people that's already bought. Is exceptionally powerful. So the objective of this channel is to drive sales. So MailChimp folks, so what happened was I bought something at these people's store and then they sent me an email, said, welcome to our world. And they showed me some designs and things of what they've been doing. So the objective of this channel is to drive sales. Okay. So to summarize that, I just want to give you a practical example of what this actually means is, let's say, for example, you advertise on Instagram. Now, Instagram is wonderful to inform people of your product. So the goal there is for them to browse. So the measurement of success there has to be to get the click and not the sale. The click is the important measurement. The second thing is when people then search for your product. So on Google Ads, they search for your product. What happens? The goal there is for them to research your product. So please consider my product. So the measurement of success there is time on the website. And then lastly, what happens is they will search your brand and then they will buy. So the goal there is sales and the measurement is revenue. Okay. So what I just want to communicate here is that each one of the channels has got a different role to play. And what we usually do is we want everything to result in sales, and that is unfortunately not how it works. Okay. So just a pro tip, that when you do create campaigns, in the name of the campaign, put the goal in that you want to achieve. This will help you to measure and manage this effectively. This is a screenshot of a Google Ads account, but you can do this in Facebook as well. Okay. It'll help you then to just manage the campaigns accordingly. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now. Okay, any questions? Ellis, like you are my dream person to attend this thing. Do you have a question or a comment?
Not really. I'm actually quite impressed the way you've segmented all the different phases and what your aim is for each of those three phases. It's quite important. Yes. Okay. Because we tend to take a shortcut all the time. We think that the first route is the silver bullet that's going to do it all. But by analysis, you can see it's a process.
Yeah, so you make a good point. So what happened? The reason why I think we think this way is Google Ads is exceptional at driving sales. Like everybody started doing it, and it was like it just absolutely works, and it does work. But the thing is that if you look at that pyramid, Google Ads sits right at the top. So it is the thing that is driving the sales. So everybody thinks that that's the best thing to do. So, but what's actually happening is all these other things that you're doing, the social media and the newsletter, that's driving people through this process. And then Google Ads just gets all the credit for all the sales. So you are right. But it's human. Like we want maximum results with no effort. Like that's normal. Like that's. But so you will see success with Google Ads. But if you want to build a bigger, long-term, more sustainable channel of getting sales, like I've seen merit in terms of considering where each one of those things sits. So for example, social media, people say, oh, social media doesn't drive sales. You are correct, it doesn't, but it does let you know that the product exists. So what's recently happened in Instagram that I've seen in my feed, and it may be different for you, is Instagram is excellent when you scroll up, is to discover new things. So OutSurance isn't advertising on Instagram because you know of OutSurance. When you look for OutSurance, you just you type it into Google. But I see a lot of new products there because I'm scrolling through and I'm like, wow, these people make pans. There's a blacksmith in Cape Town that makes like cooking pans, and then I find that, and that's new. I'm not going to buy it, but now I know about it. Now I go, maybe I'll buy the thing in 6 months' time. Okay, any questions?
I have a question from Gareth, and he's asked, what percentage of revenue would you recommend to budget for AdWords and online marketing?
Oh, that's a very good question. What I would do, I would allocate budget. This is an excellent question. I would allocate my budget based on the funnel. So the top stuff is Google Ads, for example. Then it's product searches. Then it is Facebook right at the bottom. So I would build out my marketing channel starting from the top. So I would go, first run Google Ads, then run product searches, then do email, and then do display in Facebook and Instagram. I know I can't give you an absolute number because I don't know what your budget is, because it depends on your margin. It depends on how complicated it is to buy your product. Maybe Gareth, let's jump on a call afterwards, and I can show you how I usually calculate what is a good investment, because if you start too small, you're not going to have enough data to understand if this is actually working for you or not. The data aspect is really important. We're going to talk about measurement now. So I think let's unpack that in a separate call. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Tracy, is there anybody else?
Yes, with regard to costs, sorry, just a quickie, just with regard to costs, I think it depends on what your product costs and what your margins are relative to that product. If you're selling aerial surveys and a guy's going to pay R250,000 each time, you're going to budget a lot more in terms of percentage because you're lucky enough to get maybe 2 customers a year. But if you're selling something small where you got to get yourselves 2 or 3 customers a day, your budget is entirely different and it's only a few cents. I think it's related to your market.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Absolutely is.
Ferdie,
So,
I got one. So you've shown us a sales pipeline for B2B selling. So in B2B, my understanding is we have complex products and we have simple products. So simple products could be a service that you buy. It could be a training course or something like that. And complex products could require a intervention by a salesperson or a discussion, and there's a decision to be made by more than one person in the buying process. So how does your pipeline and how does your strategy with regard to the various media that one can use change from complex selling to, let's call it, simple selling?
That's an excellent question. So the the uh, the pyramid that I've shared um, is I think is a better example for us for like a simple sale with a simple product. When it comes to more complicated B2B sales, there's a lovely acronym in the US called account-based marketing, ABM. So there's a whole field of study in that. And basically what it happen, what it explains is because there's multiple shareholders, multiple stakeholders in the sale, the each one of them has to be convinced and has to end up at the top of the pyramid to turn into a sale. And what I've seen then happen is the digital channels just turn into traditional channels. So what I mean by that is, let's say there's 4 stakeholders that needs to sign off on this. At the top of the pyramid, it'll then turn into physical conversations. It'll turn into desktops. So like sending somebody a demo of your product, a physical demo, or a gift, or inviting them to a one-on-one session or webinar. So it's interesting. I've seen the more complicated the sale gets and the more stakeholders, the less digital channels work. So in that instance, it's phone calls and desktops and demos and site visits and white papers. So digital isn't like it's not going to solve everybody's. It's just marketing. Like there isn't anything. There is like digital marketing actually isn't the thing. It's just marketing. So I've seen great success where there's a combination of digital stuff at the bottom of the funnel, and then the softer personal-based stuff at the top of the funnel takes over. Does that help? Does that answer your question, Jeff?
Yeah. So the issue at the end of the day is to identify the market itself, who's
Yes.
interested in that,
Yes.
and then once you've got that, I've identified that person, then it becomes a face-to-face or an in-person type interaction.
Yeah. So especially so what usually happens is when you look at the funnel, you don't know who the person is, and they progress through the funnel, but at some stage they're going to give you their email address or telephone number, and then you know who they are. And at that stage, then the softer stuff, the in-person marketing will take over. So then it's phone calls and it's personal emails and things. So you're absolutely right. You need to understand who your customer is, and the data that you have and your experience as a person selling your business and services. In your head, you've got a mental picture of who's your best customer, and use that to determine who you want to target in your digital campaigns as well. Because there's no point in targeting people that can't afford your services. There's no point in targeting people always say awareness, but you need to show your ads and the value that you add to the right people. If you get that wrong, you're just wasting money. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
And Jeff, just lastly, like what I've seen is the media budget, the money you need to spend on media, the smaller and more complicated your product is, the smaller your audience, the less you spend on media. So your media cost goes down, but your expertise to reach them goes up. So like the cost in terms of technology and platforms and all that stuff goes up, but your media cost is actually quite low.
Okay.
Should we continue?
Yeah.
So yes, Jeff.
No. So the what you're saying is the campaign is a little bit more complex because you've got different steps in it, but effectively the baseline, the base activity of identifying those people is not as because we've segmented the market much more finely.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're right. Yeah. The challenge with B2B a lot of times is just identifying who's your audience.
Okay.
So, but the good thing is you don't have to spend as much money on media, but the effort is like way higher. Okay. Let's continue, Tracy. I think we have 15 minutes left. Okay. Let me just share my screen first.
So Ferdie, I'd like to post your offer into the group for everyone. Okay. How many people would you be available to see?
So there's 2 slots a day, so for as long as people are interested. So
Okay, so I'm going to put Ferdie's calendar in the chat box, and for those of you that would like a one-on-one session with Ferdie, he's kindly offered to spend a 30-minute session with anyone who books the time slot. And Ferdie, we're really grateful.
it's a pleasure. I've just put in the chat group. Okay. All right. We have 15 minutes left. Let's continue. So let's talk about measurements. We talked about this pyramid and measurement of what is going on inside this. Your business there's a couple of people that's looking at your products right now, and you have no idea where they are in this process. And what I just want to talk about for 5 minutes is the value of understanding where people are in that process. So very simple, what doesn't get measured doesn't get done. It holds true in this thing as well. And the analogy I like to use is it's like flying a plane, but you don't know how fast you're going and you don't know how high you are. So flying a plane is a very scary thing. So I've seen clients get great value in setting up Google Analytics. It is free. Most of you probably have Google Analytics and you've logged into it 3 times and you've never logged in again, and that's normal. What I would recommend is 3 things. Is to go and ask your agency or the marketing person inside your business or yourself is to go and set up conversions in Google Analytics. And then a conversion is one of those steps. It could be a form, it could be somebody watching a video. So go and talk to your agency or your marketing person and set up those conversions. It'll give you an idea of what are people doing on your site, and more importantly, what are they not doing, and what are the problems on the site. Okay. Email, that's the first thing. The second thing, and just by the way, like Nightjar is not an agency. We work with marketing people and agencies. Okay. So the second thing is email is an exceptionally important channel, and very few people actually track what's happening in the email. So make sure that you're tracking your email correctly in Google Analytics. And then the third thing is to use the data in meetings. I've seen great success with clients that start using analytics data in their meetings. And let me just give you an example of what this looks like. So there's a product called Google Data Studio, and very easily you can build a dashboard to show how many sales are you getting from the website, how many meetings did you get booked, how many calls from the website. Okay. If you look at this every week and you can see how it is performing, it'll bring a sensitivity to what is going on your website and is it resulting in sales or not. Mama. Okay. That is measurement. I'm going to go through the 4 quick tips as well, and then we'll probably have 5 minutes at the end for more questions. So 4 quick tips. And this is very technical, but I promised something very technical in the session as well. First tip is when you do consider LinkedIn, one of the most powerful ways that you can target people is to use your current customer list. And how this works is you go into Shopify or the CRM system that have got all your customers' details. And what you do is you upload this into Facebook and it encrypts it then. And what you can then do is you can target people that look similar to your current customers. So Facebook will go and find more people that are 45 years old and has the disposable income for your product, for example. Okay. So you don't need to go and guess.
Sarah, please mute. Sarah, please mute.
I'm muting her.
Thank you, Lou.
Okay. So you don't need to do complicated targeting. All you do is you import your customer list and you will then show your ads to people that's similar to your current customers. It's very powerful. It works very well. Okay. This is called first party data. That's the first step. Okay. Then the second thing is, if you are running Google Ads and you are showing banners on websites, so this is display advertising. So this is like those Adidas ads I showed you earlier, is your ads are probably being shown on mobile apps because you haven't excluded them. And this is costing you a lot of money. So under Google Ads, if you click under placements, you click on where ads are shown, it should show you all the sites where your ads are being shown, your banner ads. And I can guarantee you that there's an enormous amount of mobile apps. And these are kids playing on mobile, on iPads and things, and then they see your ads and you're paying for that, and you are not going to get sales from this. I'll give you an example. This one client, they got 3,265 clicks from 6-year-olds, and they got one sale from it accidentally. I don't know how they got the sale. Okay, so just that's going to save you at least 20 or 30% on your current campaign budget. Third great tip is in Google, in LinkedIn, especially for B2B customers, there is something called an insight tag. So you sign up for an ads account and you click on insight tag, and what it does is you install this on your website, and LinkedIn will then build a profile of all the visitors to your website. This is very helpful because then you can target them in LinkedIn and people that look similar to the current visitors on your website. Okay. And then the third one is very advanced, well, not super advanced, but if you are an e-commerce website and you set up your Google Analytics correctly and you're getting revenue numbers into Google Ads, I would strongly recommend that you look at return on advertising spend targeting. So you set the target that you want to achieve in terms of what this means is I spend on 1 Rand, I'm going to get 10 Rand back in terms of revenue. And Google will then change the bids and the targeting to help you to reach that target. And it removes an enormous amount of manual work, and it'll also improve the profitability of your campaigns. Okay, that is the session.
Are there any questions for Ferdie?
Ellis, come on, you always have a great thing to say.
I've got one question.
Shoot.
It was just, hi Ferdie.
Hi, Lawrence.
Maurice, we did have met before. You said track email in Google Analytics. Can you give a little bit more detail
so,
what you meant?
So most people use MailChimp for their email campaigns. So you send your email out, and inside MailChimp you can see who opened it and who clicked on it. But when you create the campaign, at the bottom there's a section called tracking, and what you need to do is there's a little box that you need to click, and then what happens is when you send out the email and you're getting the clicks on your website, Google Analytics will then allocate those clicks to email and not to direct traffic. Okay, and then you can see the revenue that you're getting from the newsletter as well, the email. Okay, so it just, what it helps with, it gives you a more accurate, because your email is like, it's a gold mine. It's probably the most valuable asset in your business from a marketing point of view. And when you send that out, you need to understand how much revenue are you getting back from that. And if you set it up correctly in MailChimp, there's a little box at the bottom. Like we can jump on a 2-minute call. I'll show you where to tick it. Then you can see the revenue you're getting from your newsletter. Okay. Did that make sense, Laura?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Any other questions?
So Ferdie, I see in the chat box that people will be booking their complimentary 30-minute session with you, and have commented that they're sure they'll have plenty questions then. I think you've given us so much food for thought. And, you know, it's so incredibly interesting. I'm looking at Laurie, who has her camera on now, and she's sitting and nodding and nodding and nodding because she's the object marketer. So I think for us, you know, what you've shared with us this morning in terms of understanding who your customers are and the relevant channels to use to speak to different people and to communicate different messages, most importantly, is so extremely valuable, because sometimes we kind of get into a place where it's a cookie cutter approach, and we think one size fits all. So we create an ad, we think it's going to do so many different things across so many multiple platforms, and it's so incredibly valuable and important to understand the different types of communications across the platforms. Or I'm not sure if you'd like to add anything to what I've said, but yeah.
I think just to keep it simple. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't always need to have a complex website and to just give a whole story about yourself and your life. Just keep it simple and use those tools to get results and measure your results.
Yeah,
That's the secret, honestly.
Yeah, I think no, you're right. The problem is that we get so caught up in our own story and our own business, and it's normal. Like I still do it because everybody is the center of their universe. This is absolutely normal. And I think if there's one thing I just wanted to share in this session was, don't think about yourself, think about what the visitor wants. Like what do they want? Maybe they don't want to talk to you. Like make it easy for them. Like our lives are so complicated. Just don't make me think. Thanks, Ellis. Don't make me think. Just make it super simple.
I have a question from Michael. He said that the banners are being seen by kids, and
Yes.
how do we know when it's kids and how to stop those types of tests for ads?
It's a good question. So we can't see. There is some demographic information in Google Analytics that we can see, like who's seeing the ads. But what I've seen in terms of the data is any banner that's being shown on an app, a mobile app, the quality of the traffic is, they don't turn into sales, and the people that do click on it, they don't engage on the site. So my theory at the moment, and this is sort of shared in the industry, is that the apps do not result in good clicks. So I exclude all of them. It may work for you, but I exclude all of them because they don't result in quality clicks, because the people don't spend time on the site, they leave immediately. So I suspect that a lot of those clicks are for kids. And I'll tell you the story. Like I've got a 5-year-old daughter, and she loves those coloring books, where you